So today's topic is going to be slightly different than normal. I'm just going to talk with some gameplay in the background about my experiences on YouTube and what I think I've learned and what I want to share. So yeah, let's get into it. So ever since I started making more video essays on YouTube last year, a lot of people have expressed to me an interest in making their own videos, citing a desire to be a content creator. It makes a ton of sense why we all want to be heard and even rewarded for using our creative energy rather than feeling trapped in an environment where we often feel forced to suppress it. Many full-time content creators often mention that it is an incredibly difficult and draining job though. If it's true, why is this the case? What are the challenges? Well, I'm a guy with less than 5,000 subs. I don't do this full time and have no consistent upload schedule. I'm not exactly qualified to speak on the subject, and I'm not even sure I can be called a YouTuber to begin with. But in reality, the largest channels make up a tiny fraction of the people on the site, and with a year of genuine efforts put into captivating a stable audience, I feel that I've at least learned a lot about the early phases of starting a YouTube channel that I think is worth sharing. This includes the difficulties I've had, personal tips I have, and warnings. Perhaps I can provide a perspective of the challenges one might face early on in a YouTube creator's journey. Many people cite burnout as the #1 struggle as a creator, but that really hasn't been an issue for me. I want to make videos and I still have well over 100 ideas I want to cover in separate videos. I typically add more to my to-do list than I cross off. It's not that I don't understand the game of YouTube either, it's that I'm not sure if the game is worth playing. This belief may be different for different people, but I'll explain why this is in a bit. First, I need to explain how to start a channel with a decent following from the ground up. Simply having a strong passion about something is not enough. Being a solid scriptwriter or editor is not enough. I don't even think that being interesting is enough. These things are all important, of course, but what I think most people need is some kind of unfair advantage. For instance, I make Mario Kart videos, but I am not the only one who makes Mario Kart videos. This means for people to interact with my channel, I've got to stand out in some way. So when I post discussion videos on my channel, a lot of you respond in the comments with your own insights. I really enjoy reading them actually. There are some takes that I find good, some more interesting ones I would find hard to make a case for, and occasionally there are some really intriguing ones that make me consider some new things. I find that many of you actually have solid ideas and probably could make a solid video about them, but there is no guarantee that anyone would watch these videos regardless of how good the ideas are. There might be other people who have done the same topic, and a viewer will often choose a proven commodity over a newcomer on the scene. Potential viewers have limited time in their days, and a tough pill to swallow is that your video may just not be worth their time. They might have had a long work day, they might have friends they haven't seen in a while, or another commitment already. They may want to play some video games when they get home instead, or maybe there's a completely different video that is a higher priority to them than yours. And there are a lot of reasons why someone might not watch your video, and you are not entitled to their viewership. If you believe that your ideas are interesting and your videos are good enough to sell someone on your channel though, you need to find a way to get their foot in the door. And this is where the idea of unfair advantages come into play. An unfair advantage can be a lot of different things, and in reality, any advantage is not necessarily unfair, because frequently it's something that you work for. The point is, you want to offer something that can't be easily replicated. Perhaps you aren't just a good editor, for instance, maybe you're an expert. Your visuals, sound, and transitions might be a cut above, and give your channel a professional vibe that others might be lacking. Or maybe you just happen to be the best in the world at something that only you could claim truthfully. For instance, one of my best friends is the Maple Treeway world record holder in Mario Kart Wii. That's his specialty, and every time he streams, he has waves of people lined up to watch him play Maple Treeway, and nobody else can replicate what he does in this regard. Sometimes you can even have multiple advantages. I think this is clear with perhaps our biggest MK8 creator right now, JP Givener. Believe it or not, JPG actually did motivational speeches on his channel at one point in time. Needless to say, he tends to be uplifting and energetic, and while anyone can try this for themselves, I do believe it comes more naturally with him than others. I have my moments where I get really excited too, but I cannot match his energy levels constantly. We're just different people. This is something he excels at where others might not. On top of this, JPG is one of the higher ranked players in the competitive community as well. He actually won the recent Major LAN tournament, Catalyst, and pretty decisively at that. So when you tune into one of his streams, you know you're going to get a high-level player, and you're going to get some emotion to boot as well. It makes a lot of sense to me that he has a rather active, uplifting stream chat because he hosts an environment that promotes those vibes. It is legitimately hard to replicate, and what he's doing is utilizing his strengths, and that is the key. There was a time where I considered my game ability to be one of my strengths too, and while I haven't been as active in recent years, I still feel that I'm able to compete with anybody. I get comments on occasion saying that my background gameplay is satisfying, so that is something perhaps. But no, I'm not the best video editor, nor am I a world record holder, nor an elite player at any of the games I cover on the channel at this point. But I do have an exceptional experience level that I think does give me some extra credibility that any type of kart fan could respect. When it comes to the series at large, I am perhaps the most consistent player out there. I have a lot of experience with every game in the series, and I think that also gives me perhaps the most unbiased voice in the community when it comes to comparing and contrasting each game in the series, or when taking a holistic view of the series. More importantly, I've had heavy involvement in the online Mario Kart community throughout the years and have participated in just about every way possible. I'm the leader and founder of one of the best Mario Kart teams in the world, HD. I have played in both the bottom and top divisions of the main team tournaments, as well as the final rounds of the bigger solo tournaments too. But this also goes way beyond just playing. I've done the jobs that nobody else has wanted to do before, including the small ones as well as the larger ones. And I was one of the original founders of Mario Kart Central eventually, the largest Mario Kart tournament site out there today. I've hosted tournaments, casted them, wrote articles, handled support tickets, suggested improvements to the system, all of that stuff. And through genuine work and a lot of positive interactions over the years, I've made a lot of connections, and many friends who later on were actually interested in the videos I posted on this channel from the start. So getting 1,000 subscribers was easier for me than most people because of all these factors, and that is the hardest part of the climb on YouTube. But of course, I've considered other avenues to get ahead as well. One thing YouTubers can do to technically gain an advantage is to just outgrind the competition. And this is something I want to talk about a little bit more in depth, as it wraps back to our original topic. The creators that do this find something to upload practically daily, or at least once or twice a week. If there's news in their area of coverage, they will be the first person with a video up covering said news. It is likely that these creators will still need another hook to make themselves unique, but this is a way that many choose to establish themselves. Being a go-to source can perhaps be a hook in its own right, if done correctly. Many of these people see each video as well a lottery ticket. If one day they hit on a topic that is popular, it may give massive exposure to their channel, and perhaps they might choose to take their channel in that direction as a result. In theory, all one person might really need to find is that one big opportunity. For me, that opportunity happened with the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Booster Course Pass, specifically on Wave 4, the Balance Patch Wave. So we didn't notice the severity of the change immediately, but as my HD friends and I started playing time trials and call together, one thing became clear. The game had changed forever. The notoriously hated Waluigi Wiggler setup was no longer faster than builds that were previously inferior, with no real advantages left outside of the relatively minor weight stat. It was over just like that, completely outclassed. To us it was wild. I didn't really have an opinion at the time, but I was also aware that more casual Mario Kart fans would have a strong opinion. They would rejoice over the news. Wave 4 in hindsight was my favorite wave, bringing back many of my favorite retro tracks. I really wanted to play that night, but I decided to take an hour to make a video breaking the news. I knew that other competitive creators were busy playing, and that the more casual creators wouldn't really have a way to verify any of this information on their own. This created ideal circumstances for me, so I went for it and released a short, concise, 2-minute update video called Waluigi is Over. Overnight, this video would receive tens of thousands of views, going strong into the morning and following afternoon. I received a whole lot of new subs, and with that momentum, I started grinding out more Booster Pass content, because that's what this new audience wanted. I had many things that I felt were worth stating, personal notes that could add to the conversation, and so I grinded out the videos I wanted to make. I had original ideas driven entirely through a logic-based reasoning rather than by pure emotion and vibes. If this is your style though, it means one thing. Another rational person will likely come to similar conclusions as you eventually. So I had an incentive to work quickly, to present my ideas before others took my video topics, because I didn't want to appear to copy anyone with what were my own genuine ideas. Soon my subscriber total would double, triple, and now even quadruple almost. I gained fans even who liked my own personal style. I had struck while the iron was hot, and the efforts were noticed. I started getting invited to creator events in the community. My videos were talked about on Reddit. Someone even made a mod of my Booster Course Pass redo video. Someone even featured my channel in their own video about the rise of MK YouTubers. But this is where the difficult side of things start to become clear. So being featured in a video like this is supposed to be a positive thing. This was a channel that talked about the recent success of Mario Kart creators after all, so I should be flattered to be part of that. But in the video, the delivery of the history of my channel felt like it was completely misrepresentative of my actual reality. The facts were all correct. My channel did start well over a decade ago, and my first video was posted shortly after Mario Kart 8 originally came out. At least my first public video, that is. But after that, I never really got much viewership. My videos weren't doing, quote, well. But when I posted Waluigi is over, everything suddenly changed, and now I'm on a path to stardom or something. I really turned a corner. He said that this was a story of perseverance, that I never gave up despite being mid or something. And the critique at the end was that my upload schedule is bad, and that's what holds me back. I only upload like once a month, so what's the conclusion? Well, if I want to reach my potential, the way to do that would just be to start taking YouTube a bit more seriously. I give no fault to the evaluation done by this creator. They were only trying to put something positive out there that perhaps celebrated some of my success. I'm even grateful for that intent. It's not like they did anything wrong. They were just, well, kind of displaying how everybody sees the average YouTube channel. Making this truth more apparent or obvious is no crime after all. I mean, their own Rise videos have resulted in their own personal YouTube success. But it puts something into perspective for me. What truly is success? Can it be defined by a bunch of numbers? I mean, those are the most easily accessible success metrics out there. But are they really indicative of reality or the full story? Well, of course not. My personal recommendation for these Rise videos would be the following. If you want to tell someone's story, ask them if you could interview them, because their perspective might be narrative altering, and it also makes them aware that a video is being made in general. If I were to personally elaborate more on my channel's history, I would start with one question. Why exactly did I start the Rook View? Well, it's because I had a niche interest that only a few others were truly into as well. I often found that my opinions were too long to explain in message board posts, and that I was repeating myself so much. I would just post the same thing over and over, it seems like, to respond to the same arguments over and over, and I just wanted to post a video sometimes that I could just sum it up without having to redo things. Video essay formats also, where I could provide graphs and pictures to display something, with some tone in my voice after all. It felt like a much more effective way of getting a point across. My topic started with Mario Kart competitions, but I started covering my other interests too as a hobby, which eventually would go on to include coverage of the early waves of the Booster Pass. New content was still interesting for tryhard players like myself after all. I made over 50 episodes before my channel, quote, blew up, many of which I look back fondly on, some I'm really proud of still, and one that probably could have passed as a final dissertation for a PhD. Why did I bother exactly? Well, I published these videos then for the same reason I publish videos today. There were things that mattered to me that I just wanted to do, regardless of how many people would view those videos, and that was all the justification I needed. I don't see this era of my channel as a footnote. I don't see it as a time period in which my channel was mid. I see it as a time in which I was appealing to a niche audience. I also see it as a time where I didn't feel any pressures or limitations in what I could make. I don't see this as a story of perseverance. I wasn't uploading videos with a hope that each individual video could be a winning lottery ticket that catapulted me into fame either. I knew that 30,000 people weren't going to tune in to watch me talk about how to properly implement playoff formats in Mario Kart 8 team tournaments, but I did know that there would be about 200 who cared about my opinion on the community topics of yesteryear, and 200 people would fill most rooms and then some. I obviously saw a chance to obtain a bigger audience alongside the Booster Pass, and make no mistake, I plan to do it again when the next Mario Kart rolls around too, but there is a reason why the Booster Pass grind worked for me. It wasn't just that my topics were suddenly timely due to all the speculation or that I had just become more informative or more interesting. It was because I wanted to make these videos. I had something to contribute, something to add to an ongoing conversation. I was doing it because this is what I do. This is what I have always done. This is just me being me, and for once it just happened to align with what a new audience wanted to hear. Wave 4's potential to be a hot topic that could blow up my channel was a secondary factor to me. First and foremost, Wave 4 was something I genuinely care about. I believe this is why some people find me to be a really genuine voice when covering Mario Kart related topics, because not every creator that covers this stuff has a genuine passion for it in the same way that I do. But now that the booster pass is a finished product, there are no more updates on the way. Some creators might take that as a sign to move on to other Nintendo related news, but I don't really have that luxury, since I'm much more focused in on Mario Kart as my main channel topic. Since that last wave dropped, I've moved on to making predictions for the next game in the series, and it's not like my booster pass takes are even done yet. I have a few surprises left up my sleeve, and these are the things I know my audience likes. But there's a complicated and at times harsh reality here. Your subscribers subscribe for a reason, and as a creator, you would like the reason to be that they just vibe with you or think you're neat and want to watch all your stuff as such. And while they likely have a favorable view of you if they are subbed, they might actually feel little connection to your channel at all. They might just go to you after Mario Kart announcements, for instance, to decipher what each update entails and nothing more, and there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, I can't lie, there's a lot of YouTube channels out there that I'm subscribed to because I only want to watch specific videos that they put out. But what it undoubtedly means as a creator is that you could put a ton of effort into making something new or unique, something you feel people would really like if they gave it a chance, but many won't. And it is a hard pill to swallow when ordinarily more people watch your other videos. You want to believe that putting more effort in means better performance in a video, so it can be quite humbling to see a video you worked really hard on and care about get a 20th of the views that a more standard one makes. For many, this can be seen as a sign. Focus on what you're good at, give the viewers what they want, and that works for some people, but not for all, because not everything is a repeatable process. I would argue that if you're like me and you're more of a discussion channel, nothing truly is repeatable. One of the nicest comments I've ever received was just a few videos back. Comments like this one really do help and are actually reassuring and motivating. They make me want to do what I do. And if I miss addressing one of these comments, it's usually an accident or a reply to a reply where I just don't get notified by YouTube. But these comments are what make me do this, I want to reiterate. It is why I make it a priority to read every comment at the very least. This particular comment, though, was a compliment of my style in a sense, though, and many people upvoted it in approval, but I have thought about it. What makes this style of mine work? Well, I want to believe that it's authenticity. My words carry some meaning not just because I put in the effort to back them up, but because it's clear that I actually mean them. I never say stuff that I don't actually believe, and for me to change my mind on something I've researched, I have to have a reason to do that. But for that very reason, I have a limited amount of videos that I can actually make. People really seem to like my future track speculation videos more than most other topics, but with the booster pass over now, and me wrapping up my retro track prediction videos for the next game, there's nothing more to really cover here. Despite the fact that these videos have been popular topics for me in the past, I've said my piece. More videos on these subjects would just come across as fake as such, or even discredit my words in prior episodes, so I'm not going to make more of them. I'm going to move on to new ideas. Now, I've had some successes addressing other topics before. The Thousand Year Door is my favorite game of all time, and when the remake was announced last fall, I had genuine thoughts to share about it and how it wasn't an ordinary remake due to the ever-changing status of the Paper Mario series. And the video I made did really well, actually. One takeaway I could have potentially had is that I just need to cover TTYD more. Yet, there's nothing else that I feel the need to cover regarding the game. I am not the type of creator who can just make 10-minute update videos about the differences in an intro cutscene. I would be spewing words for the sake of it, I feel, desperately hoping to get YouTube views. And if I didn't get views trying something like that, the video would be an objective failure and my viewers would be able to tell if I was BSing to begin with. A good video, however, one that you are proud of, will never truly be a failure, no matter how bad its stats are. As it stands, there are videos and channels out there that go over some of the same topics as me. These videos aren't inherently lazy, and they are often quite good even, but as someone who does his homework while writing his scripts, I can tell when a video in my field took less effort to make. I like to think that this relates to what my viewers appreciate about me. That I'm not just an opinionist, but that I try to have well thought out reasons for everything. But the truth is, that comes at a cost. It takes time and it takes effort. Uploading a lot is kind of the game when it comes to channel growth, however. It makes you more money. People are also more likely to make a time investment on a shorter video than a longer one on top of it, and a more casual viewer often will not even notice if a video is less researched. Matter of fact, if a video has something like fancy transitions or better graphics, the same viewer might even assume more effort was put into the shorter video of less research. And this all brings me back to the idea of repeatable content. So once a creator starts growing an audience, finding success with repeatable content is almost like striking gold. Once you begin a rhythm, it becomes much easier to maintain and optimize it. You'll start uploading more frequently, and if you find something that you can do indefinitely that people enjoy, it's almost as if the job does itself. One of the recent trends I've seen amongst other competitive MK players has been uploading lounge gameplay and commentary to YouTube, and in a way it's genius. Not only is there practically infinite amounts of lounge content to be had, but most of these creators are going to be playing lounge matches anyway. It's a way to seamlessly combine their own leisure time with their content, and these guys are all hyper talented players too. JPG was perhaps the first big name to start doing this, and his reach is quite impressive. These days, all of his competitive MK videos get a minimum 10,000 views, and they all follow a basic template. All of them have the same intro with a condensed 12 race match to follow, presumably taken away from his streams, with edits mainly reserved for highlights that he turns into YouTube shorts. The thumbnails are different but recycle a lot of the same assets, and in this case the repeatability is even emphasized in his titles. Importantly, he is able to upload every few days using this routine, and subscribers know exactly what to expect here. It's not just JPG either. Liam has gotten into it recently too, and he is perhaps the most talented Western player to upload this type of content, period. There's also Gyarados too, who's another great watch, and he mixes up the topics for his videos quite a bit as well, which can bring interest in more lounge related topics than even just his own personal journey across the ranks. I understand the effectiveness of this type of repeatable content, and I don't want to take away from the creators who succeed in this way. I have a lot of respect for all of them, and we have all helped each other throughout the years in various ways, but I think that I would have struggles replicating what they do. It's not that I couldn't attempt it or do potentially well at it, but I just don't think my heart would be in it if I went this route, because I don't think I would be tapping into what makes me unique. My last video is actually the most similar video to a traditional competitive MK8DX episode that I've really ever done, and I kind of alluded to that in the thumbnail. But when I announced the video, I said it was a one-off. Why exactly was that? Well, it was a lounge match video, but it wasn't just any lounge match. It was an observation of a match where two of my buddies played as Funky Kong and had some interesting results, with great highs and devastating lows. It was a fish out of water type of experiment, and nobody who watched the event live knew it was going to turn into what it did turn into. And as such, I felt it was worth presenting to my audience on YouTube. I put a lot of effort into that video. I made some edits, added a narrative, and overall, there were a lot of unbelievable moments that just happened naturally, and most of my audience didn't click on it or really care that much. It wasn't a waste though, or unsuccessful to me. 3 people actually told me that it was one of their favorite videos that they've ever watched, and not all my videos get compliments in that kind of way. Even if the raw numbers don't suggest that this video is anything special, these compliments have to count for something, right? This was a special video that took advantage of something abnormal happening. You would have to watch it to truly understand why. Now, had it been more successful numbers-wise, a YouTuber might think, hey, I need to produce more of these. But I couldn't have done that. The reason why I declared the video a one-off wasn't due to me predicting bad numbers. It was due to it being a special video that I knew was going to stand out. The thing is, you can't force special to happen or will it into existence. Some stunts are so hard that you just can't repeat them again if you tried. Sometimes things just happen that are unexpected, and that is what makes them special after all. Trying to repeat the magic a second time sometimes only takes away from the uniqueness of the original event to begin with. Now, I think that this is a video that I will be able to look back on in 20 years and smile about. But some might look at it and say, actually, Waluigi is Over got 75 times more views. Why would you make a 40-minute video that doesn't even compare to that? Are you stupid? Are you even taking this seriously? Well, I'll say one thing about my channel. If you find me any video on my channel, chances are I can recall exactly what I talked about in that video in substantial detail, because I absolutely care, and I absolutely take it seriously. Maybe I wasn't good at making videos when I was first getting started, but none of my episodes are replaceable. Each one had something unique to say, and maybe they weren't what the algorithm was looking for, but they did and still do matter to me. So if you followed everything up to this point, it might be easy to come to the conclusion that I should probably just make more videos that I want to make. But everything sounds easier in practice. In reality, there are going to be tough pills to swallow, and for me, one of the biggest ones is that a lot of people simply don't care about many of the things that fascinate me. Even if I've come to terms with the fact that not everybody's going to vibe with, all the things that I want to do, I do wish there were more people to share my niche interests with at the end of the day. So back before Mario Kart Central, competitive karters gathered on an old site called MK Boards. It was originally a project for the original Mario Kart 8 that some high-profile members of the community were invested in. They wanted to take the series in an esports route, but most of them would eventually go their separate ways pretty quickly after the launch of the game, upon finding out that MK8 wasn't their cup of tea. Many of them gave up on the idea that the Mario Kart community could even grow. Many of our admins, tournament organizers, graphic designers, and content creators would become big figureheads in the Splatoon community when that game came out. Some shifted over to Smash as well. They found success there with larger player bases and more established communities to work with. But for people like me, I stuck around the MK scene. I wanted to rebuild it because while I enjoyed both those other games, Mario Kart was my favorite. I didn't want to work in esports for the sake of working in esports. I wanted to bring the game I loved along with me. But with that comes an acceptance that your path there might be more difficult or still not possible even if you give it your all. I'm not exactly sure if there's a market for what I specifically want to create. I do the things I do because I love the things I do, and I just have to hope that I find people along the way who also care, or that maybe there might be people out there to inspire. But sometimes hoping feels a little wishful. So no matter how many times you tell yourself that you don't care about how a video performs, it still stings a little bit if it massively underperforms your usual numbers, especially if you cared about your work and if you put time into it. It's always a little tough to do something like try out a stream on YouTube for the first time and see that you actually lost a few subscribers right after it. It's hard to create what you truly want to create when in the back of your mind, you feel that there are avenues out there that lead to easier growth with perhaps less effort. Maybe this means making shorter videos or not doing as much of a deep dive on a topic, since being thorough requires more effort and oftentimes potential viewers want something simpler anyway. Maybe it means manufacturing a completely unneeded, clickbaity by nature discussion topic where I say a whole lot of nothing. Shortening your average video length could result in you publishing even more after all. It's easy to see the results and create a feedback loop in this way. Modifying my videos or ideas for this reason sounds awful though, as it would be inauthentic of me. But the truth of the matter is, it's really hard to think about this stuff. My goals feel almost paradoxical, yet still maybe possible. And that might breed false hope that I can't actually be sure is false. It is really hard to willingly be led down a path because you constantly think about how a goal feels real and attainable, knowing that perhaps who you are makes it so much more difficult for you, and perhaps even unknowingly, impossible. In spite of all of this, being able to do YouTube as a career is kind of a dream of mine. I would like to find a way to grow to the point where I can do that, because if I were able to do that, it would mean a few things. First, I'd be able to upload more, but on top of that, the quality of my videos would go up tremendously because of the extra time. And secondly, it would be about doing what I love to do and perhaps what I was even meant to do. I think everyone wants to feel heard, to feel that their voice has an influence, and admittedly, there's even an almost arrogant sense of self-importance or buying of your own hype that comes with even wanting to do something like this for a living. Because if you think about it, what you would be offering the world is your thoughts on certain parts of the world, and that isn't something that everyone could just do. It would be a big privilege, and that has to be earned. You have got to be consistently interesting or engaging, and that isn't easy. But if there is something about you that you feel resonates in others, or you have a unique strength, I think a path to a fulfilling life very well might involve finding an occupation that rewards these things about you rather than suppressing them. The reason why I dream about this stuff after all is because I have things I want to say and share. It's kind of just how I'm wired. And After a while doing all this for enough time, I've seen glimpses at what the future could hold for me if, I were able to succeed on a higher level. So pretty much when you get to a point in your YouTube journey where you have had some success, it brings up questions. You think, most people never get to 5,000 subscribers. Many people even seem to really like what I'm doing. I want to be able to do more of this because I feel like something is there. Maybe my voice does hold enough weight to justify putting in the effort, and I would really like to tap into this side of myself. But there comes a realization that the best way to deliver on that and to have a higher quality of work is to simply have more time. But in order to get that time, your channel must grow. And then you question if your style of videos can truly get you there to begin with if you only upload like once a month. This can unfortunately kill your love of the process, because putting in a lot of effort into a video that should mean something to you and getting weaker numbers might turn a passion project into something that feels like a time sink. If your audience doesn't like a new direction, they might even unsubscribe, which feels like things are going in the reverse direction that you need. And people judge you off these numbers, whether you like it or not. I've stayed up late some work nights cranking out videos. Matter of fact, I'm doing it right now at the time of recording. I've made enough from YouTube at this point that I've fully paid for the cost of my equipment, which is nice. But I've been questioned by my dad why I care so much if the money I'm making now isn't really substantial. It's not my actual job, so how important is it truly? And this really stings to hear. I do my actual job to sustain myself, but I do this because I genuinely love doing it. As such, it is hard for me to know that I might not ever be, quote, successful by his terms on YouTube. It's not like he said this maliciously to me, but it would be great to prove these thoughts incorrect. So having to only hope I can be validated on my beliefs instead of taking a path I feel might be easier is difficult, because there is no guarantee that success will follow a decision to stay true to myself. In a sense, not taking the easier path by making less informative, less meaningful videos that are easier to make feels like I'm giving up partially on a dream. I hope I'm wrong, but I'm not certain that I am. And that is a really bothersome thought. And this all is the type of stuff that makes attempting to be a YouTuber difficult. But upon reflection, I would like to end this video on a positive note. Trying to be someone that you are not might lead to some success, but doing that and failing would absolutely suck. There wouldn't really be a positive takeaway there. On the other hand, there shouldn't be shame in trying to be the best version of yourself. Maybe it isn't good enough to be a big YouTuber or to live out the dream, but the worst case scenario is maybe you make some videos that hold personal meaning to you and others close to you. The best case is that you do fulfill your goals, but on your own terms. This would mean making the videos you want to make and potentially building a community that truly means something to you as well, because the people supporting you in this world would be supporting the actual you, the one who remained true to themselves. And I think that is what genuinely matters when you want to be a content creator. So what does it all mean for me? Well, talking this out gave myself some mental clarity, and I realized that in the middle of all these thoughts that I wanted to share my thoughts with you guys to perhaps provide context for my future decisions, but maybe even to share a perspective that could assist some people in the way they approach their own creative path. Down the road, I plan on making the videos I want to make and hoping for the best. Some of these might be the types of videos people sub for during the Booster Pass hype wave, like handing out grades for Wave 6 or full track tier list, or even Booster Pass music opinions. Perhaps I'll do more podcast episodes like the Mario Kart DS one I posted recently or the MK Tour one back in 2023. Perhaps I'll even do some hot take reaction videos or create some community opinion posts to cover. I have a few ideas in this regard. But I also plan to fearlessly make some videos on topics that are important to me. The things that were on my topic list that I felt I haven't been able to feasibly do due to a fear that my newer viewers just wouldn't care. Some of these were projects that I wanted to do well before my Booster Pass blow up, and I just don't want to give up on ever doing them regardless of outcomes. So I believe the next video will be about polling and the flaws of voting systems as such, a topic that will also be a one-off, perhaps not relevant to much else on this channel. But I've got some ideas to make it more relatable to my normal viewers, and I'll finally be discussing something that I've felt the need to talk about for a really long time, in what perhaps is a timely period to post said topic. Now, a big reason I wanted to post this video today is to help me get over this fear, and to explain why not every video in the future might tap into exactly what everybody subbed for. And I think that this is okay. I realize that numbers come second. Now, I'm not really a great video editor. I'm not sure I'm even average. It's even kind of hard to make the videos that I make because I rely entirely on my own voice at times. I use this platform mainly to be a speaker, and I don't know if I'm always going to appeal to everybody for this reason. As an opinionist, people will often disagree with me. Sometimes I might even annoy people or turn them into haters. Now, I don't particularly want haters, but I don't think I would have things any other way, because I'm making the content that I want to make now, and the content I think I should be making. And at the end of the day, I have things to say. I want to add to the conversation or create new ones, and that comes first. But still, this might not even be what is most important for a creator. One thing I wish I knew when I was starting is that nobody actually cares about what you make. And while that's crushing at first to get over, it can also be a blessing. Because if you're not in your own way casting self-doubt, maybe you will just make what you want to make without expectations. You might even find that you made something impactful that you might not have made otherwise. And sometimes that thing, or in this case, video, can resonate with someone. It might be something that they felt that only they thought about, and that can lead to a connection much more powerful than what you would get out of just one additional subscriber on paper. And while you should of course be grateful for any subscriber, you should also be additionally grateful for the closer connections you make along the way too. Because from time to time, I have wondered, yes, I'm getting good viewership, but how many of these viewers are here not just because of the video topic or clickbaity thumbnail, but because they've watched enough videos of mine and decided that they actually like listening to me, or think I'm someone they would want to talk to more or get to know better? How many people would want to join my Discord community, for instance, to chat with me or other viewers that might have a common interest? How many people would still tune in if I talked about different subjects? Do I actually stand out? Well, if you too ask these questions, the answer might not be what you expect or even want. Sometimes you can even be about all the right things and just be unlucky. Perhaps you find yourself in a world where what you like isn't mainstream, or perhaps you are in a space that demands more short-form content when you want to publish longer stuff. Maybe you're not even sure that making what you consider to be good videos is a good strategy when you see YouTube Shorts and TikTok exploding in recent years. But you might also find that some people, or even many people, do value the things that you value. You might find that your words hold weight to a few or even a lot, and you might even find that there are people that care about the person behind them too. And regardless of numbers, success, career advancement, or even authenticity, the connections that you build, doing the things that matter to you, are what truly matter the most.